Today we're going to be talking about the secret for quarterbacks to throw farther. Today we're going to be going over 3 different drills that quarterbacks can do to help you increase your arm strength. Now, before we get into those drills, I want to explain actually how arm strength works for quarterbacks. So it's from something called hip and shoulder dissociation, or AKA separation, and that is going to lead to something called torque on your throw. So let me explain. So when you guys go to throw, the main thing you want to keep in mind anytime you're working on your throwing mechanics is something called your throwing sequence. And your throwing sequence is in 4 parts. It's very similar to a golf swing, and it's also very similar to a baseball swing. So for example, if I'm throwing out over here to the left, the first part of the throwing sequence is my base. As quarterbacks, we get our power from our legs, our hips, and our core. Our arm has nothing to do with quote unquote arm strength. So what I mean by that is when you are throwing, you want to be in your base. Feet should be just outside, or I would say just inside of your shoulder frame. Pretty much shoulder width, but not like this. It should be inside your shoulder frame. Both shins should be straight, and you should have about 60% of your body weight loaded on this back leg, light on your front foot. That's the first part of the sequence, because when your feet are inside your frame, and the second part of the sequence is the front stride, you take a short front stride, you're in a position where you could fully rotate. If your feet are very wide pre-throw and you stride, it's tough for me to rotate. My legs lock out, I pop up, and I lose power. Now, another thing guys will do is they'll be here, second part of the sequence is flawed, they'll take a long stride, now my feet are wide and I can't rotate. And all these drills today we're going to be going over today is going to help us with this sequence. Now, third part of the sequence, you got base, you got short front stride, is your hip rotation, but the hip rotation has to come through before the shoulders do. So on the foot strike, this ties into the second part of the sequence. When you strike, you got to take the football back and slightly close your front shoulder. This is that quote unquote separation spot. Now, when that stride happens, notice how I have some weight on my back leg. I'm not going like this. I'm not pushing off of my back leg to create the stride, because when that happens, my body weight goes forward and I can't rotate my shoulders back, causing my shoulders to go through before my hips. That means my throwing sequence is flawed. You want your hips to go through before the fourth part of the sequence, shoulders and the ball. So it should be base, stride, hips, shoulders, and ball. That's the sequence. Now remember, we cannot get to that sequence if when my stride gets down, I'm pushing forward. I want to stay back on the stride, hands separate, then hips fire, and that's where we want to get to. So all these drills, you guys, will be emphasizing just that. So this first drill for arm strength, you are going to need a medicine ball. This medicine ball could be anywhere from 10 to I would say 20 pounds, depending on your age, but 10 pounds is a good gauge to start. So all you're going to be doing is working on your sequence and working on the stride and the shoulder rotation. So it's essentially working on phase 1 and phase 2 of your throwing motion. So you're going to be here, base, good situation, 60% on your back leg, 65% light on your front foot, and this is going to be a 2-part drill. So you're going to start with this medicine ball at your chest. As you take a step with your front stride, this is the first part of the drill. You're going to move the medicine ball to your right pec, maintaining some weight on your back leg. So that's 1. Then on the second movement, you're going to stride, medicine ball to the pec, weight staying back. Then you're going to take your front hip and rotate and shoot the medicine ball out at a partner, at a wall. You just throw it for distance, but we are trying to be explosive and move the weight fast. The big thing about your throwing motion when you guys throw is you want to have some explosion. You want to have some twitch. So when we train different exercises similar to this in the gym, you want to try to move weight fast, because when we're in the throwing motion, throwing sequence, we have to be moving fast with some twitch. So this is a great drill to work on your throwing mechanics as a whole, but most importantly, emphasizing that stride, weight staying back, and that separation. So I'm going to show you how this drill is going to look full speed. Now also, if you are a quarterback and you guys would like to train with us this offseason, we're going to be coming out to 14 more cities across the U.S. for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver camps. Next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to Miami, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, Charlotte, North Carolina. All 3 of those camps, you guys, are completely sold out, and every single camp this year will sell out probably 2 to 3 months in advance. So next stop on our camp tour, and again, this camp is almost completely full. We'll be coming out to Portland, Oregon. Then we'll be heading out to Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Chicago, Illinois, Buffalo, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Houston, Texas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Detroit, Michigan, Boise, Idaho, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys would like to train with myself, my staff of coaches, fellas, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our off-season camps. Again, very first link in that description below. Let's get back to these drills. This next drill for quarterbacks to work on their arm strength is going to help you getting your weight back, so AKA the first phase or the first part of your throwing sequence on a hitch, on a deep throws. So this drill you're gonna be doing with a towel, so you don't even need a partner for this drill. You can literally do this in your room, but this is working on our footwork at the top of a drop. So like, let's say for example, I got a receiver to the outside, he's running a deep post. I drop back, I take a 3-step drop. What are we probably gonna do? We're probably not just gonna sit here and then throw it. We're probably gonna hitch up into the throw and then drive the ball. Now the mistake a lot of quarterbacks make when they hitch is they have an improper base or an improper first part of their throwing sequence. So they'll go back, they'll take this 3-step drop, they hit the top of their drop like so, they hitch up, but they leave a lot of body weight here. So when you have all this body weight on the left side of your frame, you physically cannot rotate your shoulders back. You take a stride, your back foot is outside your frame, you can't separate your shoulders, so we lose that throwing sequence ability like we mentioned in the beginning of this video. So what we need to do is when we drop back and I have weight on my front foot, I should shift the weight back. I need to get that weight 60 to 65% on my back leg so I can arc my shoulder and get to that separation point where my hips can clear first. So this drill essentially works on the footwork of that. Now, we're gonna be doing this on a towel, like I said. How you wanna hold this towel is your middle finger is going to be over the top of the towel and this towel is going to hang down. Do not grab it with a closed fist because that is not how you flick your wrist when you release a football actually. You wanna flick your wrist down. That's why we hold the towel like so. So all you're gonna do, starting out with weight on your front foot, and we're gonna show you how this drill will look full speed, but you're gonna be replacing this front foot 3 times. And on the 3rd time, you're going to throw. So your weight's here, you're gonna switch, go back, switch, go back. On the 3rd one, you're gonna switch and make sure each switch, this foot gets under your frame, your upper body is shifted back, and we are going to throw on the 3rd one. If you know you're doing this drill right, if you hear the towel snap and whip, we do not want to short arm it because then we will not hear the snap of the towel. So I'm gonna show you how this drill is gonna look full speed. I recommend doing about 15 to 20 reps of this drill. This next drill for quarterbacks to improve their arm strength is going to be a 3-step pause drill. So you're going to be doing just a simple 3-step drop, but we're going to be working on balancing on my back leg, getting my weight back, and almost balancing on one foot before we let go of this ball and throw. So you need a partner, you need a target, set up maybe I would say 30 to 40 yards away. So we were trying to throw this thing far to work on my arm strength, but a proper first part of the throwing sequence, aka your base and your back foot being under your armpit, was 60 to 65%. So a lot of quarterbacks physically cannot get to that 60 to 65% position because they lack strength, they lack ankle stability, or they just simply haven't repped it out enough. So guys will drop back, they'll go to throw 1, 2, 3, they'll plant and they'll be on like the inside part of their foot. Knee will be caved, and even if you're trying to sit into this back leg but you have this knee cave, your foot's gonna be outside of your frame. Guys, you want this shin to be straight when you land. Something I tell my quarterbacks, try to have your throwing side ear outside of your throwing side foot. If you could be here, and you don't gotta be arced, but if you could be here, this foot will stay under your frame and will help you be able to rotate effectively. But also we want our weight back so I could separate my shoulders and get to that hip and shoulder separation point. So this drill helps us get to that back leg spot. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna drop back, 3-step drop, super simple. Set, go, 1, 2, 3, and you're gonna balance on one foot. Why do we balance on one foot? Because if you're too wide, it is physically impossible to balance on one foot. You're gonna fall forward because your foot is too wide. So for us to balance, you might feel a little shaky at times, totally normal. Back foot's under your frame. All you're gonna do is you're gonna pause on one foot, slightly set down your front foot, heel is not touching the ground, then we're gonna throw from this consistent base. So you should probably do about 10 to 12 reps of this drill. I'm gonna show you how this is gonna look full speed, but this is a great drill to work on that first part of your throwing sequence.